The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before the Scytheri scout vessel. Stars twinkled like distant jewels against the black canvas, but Commander Ro Jinwoo's attention was fixed on something far more interesting. An unknown ship had appeared at the edge of their territory, its hull gleaming under the light of a nearby star. Jinwoo's fingers tapped rhythmically on his command chair's armrest as he studied the vessel's profile on the main view screen. The ship's design was unlike anything he had seen in his 300 years of service. Its sleek lines and angular geometry spoke of function over form, with massive engine pods flanking a central hull that resembled an arrow's head. "Park Hana, what do our scans tell us about the vessel?" Jinwoo called out to his second-in-command, who had been quietly working at her station for the past 10 minutes. Park's delicate fingers danced across her console as she compiled the data. Her dark eyes reflected the soft blue glow of her display, creating an almost ethereal effect on her focused face. "Commander, initial scans show some interesting results. Their propulsion system appears to be a basic form of faster-than-light travel, possibly using primitive fold space technology. The hull is made of materials we abandoned centuries ago." Jinwoo nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Another primitive species, no doubt just beginning to venture beyond their home system. The Scytheri had encountered dozens of such civilizations over the millennia, and the protocol was always the same. Establish dominance early, ensure compliance with galactic law, and guide them toward proper development under Scytheri's supervision. "Any life signs?" he asked, already mentally preparing the standard first contact procedures. "Yes, Commander. The vessel appears to be crewed by biological entities. Their life signs are similar to other carbon-based species we've encountered." Park paused, her head tilting slightly as new information scrolled across her screen. "They're transmitting an identification signal." "Display it," Jinwoo ordered, straightening in his chair. The main screen flickered, and text appeared in the universal trade language. "HMS Thunderchild, Earth Federation Battleship." A quiet murmur rippled through the bridge crew. Jinwoo raised an eyebrow at the designation. A battleship. These primitives were bold, naming their simple vessels after warships. The Scytheri's own battleships were city-sized behemoths that could reshape planetary surfaces. This vessel was barely the size of a light cruiser. "Send them the standard warning protocols," Jinwoo commanded, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of tradition. "Make sure to include the submission codes. Let's see how quickly they understand their place in the natural order." As his communications officer began transmitting the message, Jinwoo studied the vessel more carefully. Despite its primitive construction, there was something about it that nagged at the back of his mind. The weapon emplacements were surprisingly well integrated into the hull design, and the power readings, while low, showed unusual stability. "Commander," Park's voice carried a note of confusion. "I'm detecting some anomalous readings from their power core. The energy signature doesn't match any known primitive fusion or antimatter design." Jinwoo frowned. "Elaborate." "The core appears to contain nothing. It's as if they found a way to harness vacuum energy, but that's impossible for their level of technology." Park's fingers flew across her console, running additional scans. "And their shield geometry. It's unlike anything in our database." Before Jinwoo could respond, his tactical officer called out, "Commander, they're responding to our transmission." The main screen shifted again, showing a simple text response. "Greetings, Scytheri vessel. This is Captain Lee Sun-mi of the HMS Thunderchild. We acknowledge your presence and request peaceful diplomatic contact. However, we must inform you that any hostile action will be met with appropriate response." Jinwoo's smile widened. Such bravado from a primitive species was always amusing. Still, that nagging feeling wouldn't leave him. Something about this situation felt different from the countless first contact scenarios he had overseen. "Prepare the containment fields," he ordered. "Let's show these humans exactly what they're dealing with. A small demonstration should be sufficient to ensure their cooperation." As his crew began powering up the ship's systems, Jinwoo couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. The human ship, despite its apparent simplicity, held an air of quiet confidence that seemed at odds with its primitive design. "Sir," Park's voice had grown even more concerned. "I'm detecting power spikes throughout their vessel. Their shields, they're becoming more complex by the second. It's as if their defensive systems are evolving in real time." Jinwoo's smile finally faded. In all his years of service, he had never encountered a species that could adapt their technology so quickly. Perhaps this first contact would be more interesting than he had initially thought. "Launch the containment protocol," he ordered, his voice firm, but carrying a new note of caution. "Let's see how these humans respond to a proper display of Scytheri power." As his ship's energy weapons powered up, Jinwoo couldn't help but wonder if he was about to learn something new about the galaxy's hierarchy. The humans' response would tell him everything he needed to know about their true capabilities, and whether his initial assessment of their primitive status had been a grave mistake. The bridge of HNS Thunderchild hummed with quiet efficiency as Captain Lee Sunmai watched the alien vessel's movements on the main display. Her hands rested lightly on the arms of her command chair, betraying none of the tension that filled the air. The Scytheri scout ship had taken up an aggressive stance, its weapon ports clearly visible against its silvery hull. "Combat Intelligence Core online and monitoring all frequencies, Captain," reported the ship's AI specialist, Officer Shin Aira. Her fingers moved steadily across her console, managing the flow of data between the ship's artificial intelligence and its human crew. Kim Do-hyun, the weapons officer, maintained his position at the tactical station with practiced ease. Years of training had prepared him for first contact scenarios, but the reality of facing an unknown alien species sent a slight tremor through his hands that he fought to control. "Multiple energy spikes detected," Do-hyun announced, his voice steady despite the pressure. "Their weapon systems are charging. Pattern analysis suggests non-lethal containment protocols. They're trying to disable us, not destroy us." Sunmai allowed herself a small smile. The aliens were being predictably arrogant, assuming their technology would easily overwhelm what they perceived as a primitive human vessel. "Status of our shield systems." "Shields at full power, Captain," responded Chief Engineer Park Min-ji from her station. "Adaptive matrices are primed and ready. The quantum field generators are running at optimal efficiency." The first shots from the Scytheri vessel lanced out across space, beautiful streams of purple energy that twisted and curved like living things. They struck Thunderchild's shields and dissipated instantly, creating ripples of blue light that quickly faded into nothing. On the main screen, Sunmai could see the alien vessel pause in its attack. She imagined their surprise at finding their weapons had no effect. "Communications, open a channel. Let's try diplomacy one more time." Lieutenant Choi Jin-young nodded and activated the universal translator. "Channel open, Captain." Sunma stood from her chair, squaring her shoulders as she faced the main screen. "This is Captain Lee Sunmai of the Earth Federation vessel Thunderchild. We come in peace and request diplomatic dialogue. Your weapons cannot harm us, but we have no desire for conflict." The response came quickly, translated into perfect Korean by the ship's eye. The alien commander's voice dripped with dismissal and confusion. "Impossible. Your technology is primitive. Our scans clearly show outdated propulsion and hull designs. Submit to containment or face destruction." "They're powering up their main weapon arrays," Do-hyun reported, his fingers hovering over the defensive controls. "Energy signatures are significantly higher than their previous attack." Sunmai retook her seat, her expression remaining calm. "Maintain current shield configuration. Let them exhaust themselves against our defenses. Combat intelligence, begin full analysis of their weapon systems." The Scytheri vessel unleashed a barrage that would have crippled most ships in the Earth Federation fleet. Streams of energy and exotic particles battered against Thunderchild's shields, creating a spectacular light show, but achieving nothing more. Shields holding at 99%, Minji reported with a hint of pride in her voice. Their weapons are interesting, but nothing our quantum fields can't handle. The attacks continued for several minutes, each one more powerful than the last, but Thunderchild's defenses remained unbreached. Sun Mai watched as the alien vessel tried different angles and energy configurations, all to no effect. "Captain," Shin Era called out, "the combat intelligence has completed its analysis. The Sktheri weapons are based on technology we surpassed 50 years ago. Their containment fields rely on principles our scientists disproved during the quantum revolution." Sun Mi nodded, understanding dawning. The aliens had judged Thunderchild by its appearance, never suspecting that humanity had chosen to maintain simple, efficient designs while revolutionizing the underlying technology. The ship's seemingly basic hull actually contained materials and systems far beyond anything the Sktheri had encountered. "They're sending another transmission," Jin Young announced. Audio only. The alien commander's voice had lost its dismissive tone, replaced by something closer to concern. "Your defenses are unexpected. Explain how you have achieved this level of shield technology." "Perhaps," Sun Mai responded, "it would be better to meet and discuss our respective technologies as equals. We have much to share with each other, Commander." A long pause followed her words. The Sktheri vessel had ceased its attacks, floating silently against the star-filled background. Sun Mai could almost feel the confusion and uncertainty radiating from the alien ship. "Sensor update, Captain," Du Hyun reported suddenly. "Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Sktheri signatures. They appear to be capital ships." Sun Mi straightened in her chair, but her calm demeanor never wavered. The arrival of reinforcements suggested the Sktheri were not yet ready to accept the reality of human technological advancement. More demonstrations would be necessary before peaceful dialogue could begin. "All hands, maintain battle stations," she ordered. "Let's show our new friends that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars, whether they're prepared for us or not." Space rippled as 12 massive Sktheri capital ships emerged from hyperspace, their silver hulls gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. Each vessel dwarfed the scout ship that had made first contact, their weapon arrays glowing with barely contained power. At the center of the formation, the flagship Star Dominance carried Admiral Kang Minho and his command staff. Minho stood at his command station, his weathered face reflecting centuries of military service. The view screen before him showed the lone human vessel, tiny compared to his fleet, yet somehow it had resisted their standard containment protocols. "Show me the combat footage," he ordered, his deep voice carrying across the bridge. The tactical officer, Yoon Jia, immediately brought up the recording of the earlier engagement. Minho watched with growing disbelief as the scout ship's weapons dissipated harmlessly against the human vessel's shields. "Run a full spectrum analysis. There must be some trick to this." Jaya's fingers flew across her console, bringing up detailed scans of the HMS Thunderchild. "Admiral, their ship design appears deliberately misleading. The hull configuration suggests primitive technology, but our sensors are detecting energy signatures we've never encountered before." "Impossible," Minho muttered, leaning forward to study the readings. "Their species has barely achieved spaceflight. Our records show they only left their planet 2 centuries ago." He turned to his science officer. "Could they have stolen this technology from another race?" "Negative, Admiral," the science officer replied. "The technology signatures don't match any known species in our database. This appears to be entirely of human origin." Aboard the Thunderchild, Captain Sun Mei and her crew watched the arrival of the Sktheri battle fleet with practiced calm. Commander Choi Yunseo stood at his station, coordinating the ship's defensive preparations. "Combat intelligence reports all systems at peak efficiency," Yunseo announced. "Defense grid is primed and ready. Quantum shields are operating at maximum capacity." Sun Li nodded, her eyes fixed on the imposing alien fleet. "They're trying to intimidate us with their numbers. standard tactical doctrine for an established species encountering what they believe to be an inferior force. The main screen flickered as a transmission came through from the Scathari flagship. Admiral Minho's face appeared, his expression stern and unyielding. "This is Admiral Kang Minho of the Scathari Defense Force. Your resistance to our containment protocols is noted but futile. Surrender your vessel for inspection, or face the consequences." Sun Mai rose from her chair, meeting the alien admiral's gaze. "Admiral, we have already demonstrated that your weapons are ineffective against our defenses. We continue to seek peaceful dialogue, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." Min Ho's face darkened with anger. "You dare to maintain this pretense? No primitive species could possess such technology. You will submit to inspection, or we will destroy your vessel." "Sir," Jaya interrupted from her station on the Scathari flagship, "I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the human ship. Their power core it's operating on principles I don't understand." Minho turned to his science officer. "Explain." "Admiral, they appear to be harnessing vacuum energy in ways our theorists have only dreamed of. Their shield technology isn't just advanced, it's revolutionary." On Thunderchild's bridge, Yun Seo reported, "They're moving their fleet into attack formation. Energy readings suggest they're charging their main weapon arrays." Sun Mai sighed softly. "Send one final message to the Admiral. Make it clear that while we have no desire for conflict, we will not allow them to disable or board this vessel." The tension mounted as the massive alien ships moved into position, their weapon ports glowing with building energy. Thunderchild remained stationary, its seemingly simple exterior hiding technologies that would soon shock the Scathari fleet. "Admiral," Jaya called out, her voice carrying a note of concern, "the human vessel's power output is increasing exponentially. These readings, they can't be correct." Minho gripped the rails of his command station. "Begin the attack. Show these upstart humans the true might of the Scathari Defense Force." The space between the ships lit up as the first salvos were launched, marking the beginning of a battle that would change the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. Thunderchild's crew braced themselves, ready to demonstrate that appearances could be deceiving, and that humanity's rapid technological advancement was about to shock their would-be conquerors. Shields holding steady, Yun Seo reported as the first waves of alien weapons fire struck their defenses. Combat intelligence suggests they're using their full arsenal now. No signs of shield stress. Sun Mai watched the incoming fire with a mixture of sadness and determination. Sometimes it seemed the only way to achieve peace was to prove beyond doubt that war would be futile. "Prepare defensive countermeasures," she ordered. "Let's show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The void of space lit up like a newborn star as thousands of Scathari missiles streaked toward the HMS Thunderchild. Their trails created intricate patterns against the darkness, beautiful and deadly. Lieutenant Song Ta-min stood steady at his station in the Combat Information Center, his trained eyes tracking multiple threat displays at once. "Missile count exceeding 3,000, called out the sensor operator. "Multiple weapon types detected. They're using their entire arsenals, sir." Ta-min's fingers danced across his console as he interfaced with the ship's combat intelligence. The AI's presence felt like a cool stream in his mind, enhancing his natural abilities with its vast processing power. Engaging point defense grid. All batteries coordinated and tracking. Around Thunderchild's hull, hundreds of defense turrets emerged from seemingly solid metal. The weapon ports opened like blooming flowers, each revealing sophisticated energy weapons that could track and engage targets moving at near-light speeds. "Enemy missiles entering optimal engagement range," Ta-min announced, his voice carrying the calm of someone who had trained countless hours for this moment. "Initiating defense pattern Alpha 7. The space around Thunderchild transformed into a web of light as the point defense grid activated. Precision energy beams lashed out with impossible speed, each shot finding its target with perfect accuracy. Missiles exploded in silent flashes, their debris creating a shimmering cloud around the human vessel. In the Scatheri flagship's command center, Admiral Minho watched in growing disbelief as his first wave of missiles vanished without a single hit. Impossible. No defense system can be that precise. Sir, his tactical officer reported, their point defense grid is operating at speeds our systems can't match. The targeting computers are predicting trajectories before our missiles can adjust course. Thunderchild's defense grid continued its work with mechanical precision. Thousands of missiles became clouds of debris, not a single warhead reaching close enough to test the ship's shields. The display of technological superiority was deliberate, a careful demonstration of just how outmatched the Scatheri fleet had become. Second wave of missiles incoming, reported Thunderchild's sensor operator. They're trying a different approach, multiple vector attack with synchronized detonation patterns. Taimin allowed himself a small smile. Combat intelligence has already adapted, updating point defense protocols. He paused, noting new readings on his display. Captain, requesting permission to engage gravitational manipulation systems. Captain Sun Mi's voice came through clear on the command channel. Permission granted, Lieutenant. Show them why humanity's scientific advances are not to be underestimated. Deep within Thunderchild's hull, advanced machinery hummed to life. The ship's gravitational manipulators, technology the Scatheri had thought impossible for centuries, began their work. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the human vessel. The effect on the Scatheri fleet was immediate and devastating. 3 of their smaller ships suddenly found themselves drifting off course, their engines unable to compensate for the localized gravitational distortions. The second wave of missiles curved away from their intended paths, many colliding with each other in spectacular explosions. By the ancestors, breathed Admiral Minho, watching his carefully coordinated attack fall apart. What are they doing to local spacetime? On Thunderchild's bridge, Commander Choi Yun-seo reported, gravitational manipulators functioning at optimal levels. 3 enemy vessels effectively neutralized without causing structural damage. The Combat Information Center continued its efficient defense of the ship, with Min coordinating both the point defense grid and the gravitational systems. The space around Thunderchild had become a killing ground for any incoming weapons, while the gravitational distortions kept the larger Scatheri ships at bay. Enemy fleet is adjusting formation, announced the sensor operator. They're attempting to find angles our defense grid can't cover. Min worked with the combat intelligence to predict the enemy's movements, updating defense patterns. No blind spots in our coverage. He watched as another wave of missiles met the same fate as the first, transformed into harmless debris by Thunderchild's impossibly accurate point defense systems. Lieutenant, called out the sensor operator, detecting energy buildup in the enemy flagship. They're preparing to fire their main weapon array. Min remained calm, knowing the ship's systems could handle anything the Scatheri threw at them. Adjusting gravitational fields to create a defensive corridor, all point defense batteries maintaining current deployment. The Scatheri flagship's main weapon fired, a massive beam of concentrated energy that would have vaporized most ships instantly. Instead, it encountered Thunderchild's gravitational defenses. The beam curved away from the human vessel, its path bent by the invisible forces controlling local spacetime. Energy attack successfully deflected, Min reported. No damage to our systems. Combat intelligence suggests they've expended nearly 40% of their ammunition in this attack. Through it all, Thunderchild had yet to fire a single offensive shot. The demonstration of its defensive capabilities was sending a clear message to the Scatheri. Humanity had surpassed them in ways they hadn't thought possible. Admiral Minho stared at his tactical display, watching as his fleet's most powerful weapons proved useless against a single human ship. The realization was beginning to sink in. They weren't dealing with a primitive species that needed to be contained. They were facing the civilization that had achieved in 2 centuries what had taken the Scatheri 2 millennia to develop. In Thunderchild's Combat Information Center, Min continued his work, the defense grid humming with power as it protected the ship and its crew. The battle was far from over, but humanity had made its point. They were not to be underestimated, and the galaxy would soon learn just how far they had come. Captain Lee Sunmai stood on the bridge of Thunderchild, watching as the Scatheri fleet continued their relentless but ineffective assault. After 15 minutes of purely defensive action, the time had come to demonstrate humanity's offensive capabilities. "All hands, prepare for offensive operations," she announced over the ship-wide communications. "Combat intelligence, initiate targeting protocols. Weapons Officer Kim, bring main batteries online." Kim Do-hyun's fingers moved with practiced efficiency across his console as Thunderchild's weapon systems powered up. Deep within the ship's hull, antimatter reactors hummed to life, channeling energy into the main cannons. The weapons were designed to disable rather than destroy, a testament to humanity's emphasis on preservation of life even in combat. "Targeting solutions ready," Captain Do-hyun reported. "Combat intelligence has identified optimal strike points on all enemy vessels. Minimal force protocols engage." Sun Mi nodded, her expression remaining calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Select 3 primary targets. Show them our capabilities without causing unnecessary damage or casualties." The massive Scatheri ships continued their barrage, still trying to penetrate Thunderchild's defenses. Their weapons, while impressive, splashed harmlessly against the human vessel's quantum shields. "Targets selected," Do-hyun announced. 3 capital ships presenting broadside. Their shield configurations are most vulnerable at these points. His display showed precise targeting data, highlighting specific sections of each enemy vessel. Sun Mi took a deep breath. "Weapons free, Officer Kim. Demonstrate humanity's technological advancement." Thunderchild's main weapons activated with barely a tremor. The antimatter cannons, hidden beneath the ship's seemingly primitive exterior, released precisely controlled bursts of energy. The beams crossed space in microseconds, their power carefully modulated to disable rather than destroy. The first beam struck a Scatheri cruiser's engine section. The alien vessel's shields, designed to withstand the most powerful weapons in their arsenal, failed instantly. Systems across the ship went dark as the carefully targeted shot disabled their power distribution network without compromising hull integrity. "First target neutralized," Do-hyun reported. "No casualties detected. Their life support systems remain functional on backup power." The second and third shots followed immediately, each finding their marks with surgical precision. 2 more Scatheri capital ships drifted powerless in space, their crews unharmed but their weapons and engines completely disabled. On the Scatheri flagship's bridge, Admiral Minho stared in horror at his tactical display. 3 of his most powerful ships had been neutralized in seconds, their defenses bypassed as if they weren't even there. "Impossible," he whispered, watching as damage reports flooded in. "Their weapons, they're not just advanced, they're beyond anything we've conceived." "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking, "analysis shows their weapons utilized controlled antimatter reactions. The energy levels were precisely calculated to disable our ships without causing structural damage. This level of control shouldn't be possible." Back on Thunderchild, Sun Mi watched the disabled ships with a mixture of satisfaction and hope. The demonstration had been necessary but measured, showing both humanity's power and their restraint. "Status of the disabled vessels?" she asked. "All 3 ships maintain hull integrity," Do-hyun reported. "Their crews are safe, but primary systems are offline. They'll require extensive repairs, but nothing they can't recover from." The remaining Scatheri ships had ceased firing, their commanders finally understanding the full implications of what they faced. A single human vessel had not only withstood their combined firepower, but had effortlessly disabled 3 capital ships without causing a single casualty. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving multiple hails from the Scatheri fleet. They're requesting immediate ceasefire." Sun Mi allowed herself a small smile. "Open a channel to Admiral Minho's flagship. Let's see if they're ready for real dialogue. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Scatheri Admiral's face. Gone was the earlier arrogance, replaced by a look of cautious respect. Captain Sunmei, I request a temporary ceasefire to discuss terms. Admiral. Sunmei responded, her voice firm but diplomatic. We have demonstrated only a fraction of our capabilities. Your ships are disabled but intact, your crews unharmed. This was our intent from the beginning. To show that humanity comes not as a primitive species to be conquered, but as equals worthy of respect. Minho nodded slowly, his centuries of experience allowing him to recognize the profound shift in galactic politics occurring at this moment. Your technology, it surpasses our understanding. How did your species advance so quickly? Perhaps, Sunmai suggested, that would be an excellent topic for our first diplomatic discussion. Humanity has much to share, Admiral, but only with those who treat us as equals. The tension on both bridges began to ease as the reality of the situation settled in. Thunderchild had changed the galaxy's balance of power not through destruction, but through precise, measured demonstration of capability coupled with deliberate restraint. Stand down from combat stations, Sunmai ordered her crew, but maintain defensive protocols until diplomatic channels are properly established. The stars continued their eternal dance as human and alien began the delicate process of establishing real communication. Thunderchild's response had done more than win a battle. It had opened the door to a new era of interstellar relations, where humanity would take its place among the stars not through conquest, but through the demonstration of power tempered by wisdom. Yum Jaya's eyes remained fixed on her data terminal aboard the Scatheri flagship. Her hands trembled slightly as she processed the stream of information about the human vessel. Around her, the bridge crew worked in stunned silence, their earlier confidence shattered by the demonstration of Thunderchild's capabilities. Admiral, she called out, her voice barely above a whisper. I've completed the full analysis of their technological advancement timeline. She paused, double-checking the figures that seemed to defy all logic. The data is conclusive. They achieved spaceflight just 2 centuries ago. Admiral Minho sat rigid in his command chair, his knuckles white as he gripped the armrests. 3 of his capital ships drifted powerless in space, disabled with surgical precision by weapons that shouldn't have existed. His remaining fleet held position, their mighty weapons silent after the shocking display of human technological superiority. Show me the analysis, he ordered, his voice hoarse. A holographic display materialized before him, showing a timeline of human technological development. This cannot be accurate. No species advances this quickly. Jaya brought up comparative data from other known civilizations. Sir, look at the acceleration curve of their scientific development. Where we took careful steps over millennia, they made exponential leaps in decades. Their understanding of quantum mechanics, gravitational manipulation, and antimatter containment evolved at rates we thought impossible. The Admiral studied the data, his centuries of experience providing no context for what he was seeing. What drove them to advance so rapidly? Their historical records suggest multiple factors, Jaya explained, bringing up more detailed information. Their planet's high biodiversity led to accelerated adaptation. Their shorter lifespans pushed them to achieve more in less time. But most importantly, their cultural emphasis on sharing scientific knowledge and encouraging innovation created a cascade effect in technological development. On her screen, footage from the recent battle played in a loop. Thunderchild's defense systems had neutralized thousands of missiles with impossible precision, while its gravitational manipulators had rendered their most sophisticated weapons useless. The human vessel's retaliatory strikes had been equally impressive, demonstrating not just advanced technology, but precise control and deliberate restraint. Their weapon systems, Minho mused, watching the footage, they could have destroyed our ships instead of disabling them. Why show such restraint? Jaya pulled up the communication logs from their earlier exchanges. Analysis of their messages suggests a consistent pattern. They repeatedly attempted diplomatic contact, even while under attack. Their technological superiority appears matched by their ethical considerations. The implications sent ripples of unease through the bridge crew. The Scatheri had prided themselves on being one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in known space. Yet here was a species, barely out of their planetary cradle by galactic standards, that had not only matched but surpassed them in critical areas of technology. "Sir," Jaya continued, highlighting new data points, "their ship design itself tells an interesting story. The exterior appears deliberately simple, almost primitive by our standards. But the internal systems—" She paused, shaking her head in amazement. "They've developed technologies we theorized but never successfully implemented. Their quantum shield harmonics alone represent several centuries of advancement beyond our current capabilities." Minho stood from his command chair, walking slowly to the main viewport. The human vessel hung against the backdrop of stars, its modest size belying its revolutionary technology. "We assumed they were primitive because they appeared primitive. We judged their capabilities based on our own path of development." "Admiral," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving detailed scans from our disabled vessels. The precision of the human weapon strikes. They deliberately targeted non-critical systems, ensuring minimal damage and no loss of life. The technical sophistication required for such precise strikes is beyond our current understanding." Jaya brought up more analysis screens, her fingers dancing across the controls. "Their rate of advancement suggests they'll continue to evolve their technology at an exponential pace. In another century, they could be—" She trailed off, the implications too staggering to voice. Minho turned back to his crew, his face set in determined lines. "We face a choice. We can continue to view them as a threat, leading to a conflict we may not survive, or we can acknowledge them as equals and learn from their achievements." The bridge fell silent as the crew contemplated their admiral's words. Centuries of Scatheri superiority had been challenged not by force, but by innovation. A single human vessel had rewritten their understanding of technological advancement and species development. "Prepare a full report for the High Council," Minho ordered. "Include all battle data and technological analysis. The galaxy is changing, and we must change with it." He paused, looking again at the Thunderchild. "The humans have shown us not just advanced technology, but a new way of thinking about progress itself." As the crew worked to compile the report, Jaya continued to study the data streaming across her screen. Each new detail revealed another aspect of human innovation, another leap forward that defied conventional understanding. The revelation was clear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through age or tradition, but through relentless progress and ethical application of their advances. The stars seemed to shine a little differently now, as if acknowledging the shift in the galaxy's balance of power. The age of Scatheri dominance was ending, not with violence and destruction, but with the quiet revelation that they were no longer alone at the pinnacle of technological achievement. The diplomatic chamber aboard Thunderchild glowed with soft, ambient light, designed to be comfortable for both human and Scatheri eyes. The room had been specially prepared for this historic meeting, with environmental controls adjusted to accommodate both species' preferences. Captain Lee Sunmei sat at one end of the polished conference table, while Admiral Kang Minho occupied the other end, their respective senior staff members arranged along the sides. The tension from the earlier battle had transformed into an atmosphere of cautious optimism. Through the chamber's viewing ports, the stars served as silent witnesses to this pivotal moment in galactic history. The disabled Scatheri vessels had been stabilized, their crews safe and their systems slowly being restored under human guidance. "Your technological achievements are remarkable," Minho began, his translator converting his words into perfect Korean. "But what impresses me more is the wisdom with which you wielded that power." Sunmei inclined her head slightly in acknowledgement. "Humanity learned long ago that advancement without ethics leads to destruction. We developed our technology not to dominate, but to understand and protect." Commander Choi Yun-seo, seated beside his captain, activated a holographic display in the center of the table. The image showed Earth and its surrounding space installations. "This is our home system," he explained. "We would be honored to host a Scytheri diplomatic delegation there." The alien admiral studied the hologram with evident interest. "Your infrastructure is impressive for such a young spacefaring race. We see designs and concepts that took us centuries to perfect." Parkana, the Scytheri science officer, leaned forward. "If I may ask, how did your species achieve such rapid advancement? Our historical records show no comparable rate of progress among any known civilization." Captain Sunmis smiled warmly. "We believe it's because we approach development differently. Instead of competing among ourselves, we learned to collaborate. Knowledge was shared freely across borders. Every breakthrough in one field accelerated progress in others." The meeting continued for hours, with both sides sharing insights and asking questions. The humans explained their philosophical approach to technological development, while the Scytheri offered valuable perspectives gained from their longer history among the stars. "Your ship," Minho observed, gesturing to indicate Thunderchild. "It's a perfect example of your approach. The exterior appears simple, efficient, yet it houses technology that surpasses our understanding." "Form follows function," Sunmai replied. "We found no need for grand displays when elegant solutions would suffice. The same philosophy guided our first contact protocols. Demonstrate capability without aggression, strength without dominance." As the discussions progressed, messages were already spreading across the galaxy through the Scytheri communication network. News of humanity's dramatic arrival on the interstellar stage triggered waves of diplomatic inquiries from other species. Thunderchild's demonstration had done more than impress one alien civilization. It had announced humanity's presence to the entire galactic community. "There will be others coming," Minho warned. "Not all species will react as we have. Some may see your advancement as a threat." Sun's expression remained confident but not arrogant. "We understand. That's why we hope to establish strong diplomatic ties with the Scytheri first. Your experience and wisdom could help guide us as we take our place among the stars." The admiral nodded slowly. "Yes, I believe an alliance would benefit both our peoples. We can offer centuries of diplomatic experience, while your innovative approach to technology and problem-solving could help us break free from stagnant thinking." The meeting concluded with the drafting of preliminary diplomatic agreements. Both sides committed to cultural and technological exchange programs, with safety measures and ethical guidelines built into every aspect of their cooperation. As the Scytheri delegation prepared to return to their flagship, Minho paused at the chamber's entrance. "Captain Sunmani, I must admit something. When we first encountered your vessel, we thought we were dealing with primitives who needed guidance. Instead, you showed us that true advancement lies not in the age of a civilization, but in its wisdom." Sunmai stood and offered a traditional Earth gesture of respect. "Admiral, this is just the beginning. Together, our peoples can achieve things neither of us could accomplish alone." The stars continued their eternal dance outside the viewport as human and alien sealed their historic agreement. Thunderchild's mission had succeeded beyond all expectations. Humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage, not through conquest or submission, but through a perfect balance of power and restraint, technology and wisdom. As the news spread across the galaxy, other species began preparing their own diplomatic missions to Earth. Humanity's journey among the stars had truly begun, marked not by the thunder of weapons, but by the quiet power of mutual respect and understanding. The galaxy would never be quite the same again.